Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Dozens of House and Senate Democrats are demanding answers from the Trump administration on its implementation of Schedule Policy Career. A letter sent to the White House this week calls for details about exactly how many positions have been reclassified and whether there are plans to add to the list of those stripped of their civil service protections. Here with more details is Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for being here.
Nice to be with you today, Terry.
All right, so for starters, let's catch up. Where do things stand now after Schedule Policy Career was finalized last month?
Well, after we saw that executive order from President Trump in early June, we now have close to 8,000 career federal employees across government who have been made at will and easier for agencies to fire. They can't appeal their reclassifications into the new schedule. And then there's also a bunch of other changes like changing a process that used to be at the Office of Special Counsel to an internal agency process if they believe there's a prohibited personnel practice against them, just as an example. But there's a lot of changes that, at the end of the day, take away their civil service protections. Trump administration officials have been very clear that there's no loyalty tests in this, and it's really just a matter of accountability. But of course, it's raised a lot of questions and concerns from the federal community as well. I think this latest letter is just the newest example of that.
Why did the Democrats say they want more details? What more could they possibly be asking for?
Well, what happened when the executive order came out last month is that the White House had an appendix or a list of all the types of positions that had been reclassified and at what agencies. But the way that the list was structured and the information that it had left for some people a lot to be desired. There wasn't, for example, an exact number of the affected positions. We only know that it's close to 8,000. We don't have a specific number. We also don't know their seniority levels. For example, whether they're at the GS-15 level, 14, or wherever else, and a lot of other details that are just not entirely clear from the White House at this time. So the new letter from Democrats says that the public and Congress deserve more information on this, on understanding very clearly, where people were reclassified and just looking for more information on that regard.
Is that part of the steps that are being taken by each of the agencies to actually figure out which names go against those positions and flesh it out from there?
The way that it was set up before this was all finalized was that agencies were supposed to put together their own lists of what they proposed to be reclassified or what would be considered a policy influencing position in their agency. That list was then reviewed by the White House to determine whether or not people would be kept on that list, if it would be expanded or shrunk from there. But again, there's not a lot of transparency into the process right now of how agencies came to those decisions. And there's some questions about, for example, one position at one agency might be reclassified and the exact same title or same role at a different agency wasn't reclassified. So there's questions about, how they came to those final decisions.
Is that at the core of the concerns that the lawmakers are expressing here, a lack of inconsistency?
That is part of the concern, but there's also broader concerns about how this could change things for the nonpartisan nature of the career civil service. They worry about the possibility of losing people who have been in government for a long time, have a lot of expertise, potentially being fired and replaced with people who are maybe more willing to carry out the president's priorities and policies. And in their letter, they're looking for a lot more specifics as well. For example, how this breaks down across demographics, if it affected for maybe men versus women or people who have disabilities, people with veterans preference, a lot of details in that regard. And then also just a question of, what types of positions were affected. They had examples where HR employees, procurement professionals, people who are conducting scientific work at the CDC, all those positions were reclassified. And the question is, from them at least, does that go beyond what is meant to be a classification of purely policy influencing positions?
And so at this point, Drew, what are the prospects that schedule policy career is going to expand beyond this roughly 8,000 folks on the initial list?
I would say as time goes on and as we see the weeks pass since that executive order, it's seeming more and more likely that the Trump administration will expand the list at some point. We don't have a lot of details on when that would happen, what types of positions would be added to scheduled policy career. But if you look back to the Office of Personnel Management's estimate from 2025, they thought it would be about 50,000 positions. So that's more than 5 times what we saw in reality. OPM Director Scott Cooper has made some comments recently saying that he thinks the list will eventually expand, but didn't give a lot of details necessarily on what that would look like again. But it could get down. If you think about it, the initial list was mostly GS-15 level employees. So it's possible that this could trickle down to GS-14s, even some GS-13s, and just expand across the number of titles affected as well. Again, there's really not a lot of clear details, but there have been definitely some, discussion points from administration officials saying that this could be coming down the pipeline at some point soon.
Are you anticipating that this might become the subject of future hearings?
I think that is fair to say. And as we've talked about before, there's a lot of other changes to personnel policies in government, a lot of changes to the firing or removal discipline procedures. So all of that combined, I think, could raise some attention in Congress. This letter may be a first sign that this is something that they're going to be continuing to push on here.
And maybe the Congressional Workforce Caucus will get involved.
That's certainly possible as well.
That's Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You can find her story at federalnewsnetwork.com.